Who should be QB1? You guys all have Mahomes. Everybody has Mahomes. Dave, Jamie, Heath, they all have Mahomes. Do you feel super strongly about that?
I think he's the safest. Because if I were to admit that
Hurts was the safest.
Well, no, I said he had the safest floor. I said he had the safest floor. I think Mahomes has the next safest floor. I think Mahomes has made it very obvious. We can say 2 out of the last 3 seasons, he's averaged over 29 fantasy points per game. I think he's been a top 4 fantasy quarterback on a per game basis for the last 5 seasons. He's got really good upside. So I don't have a problem with saying that Mahomes is like very safe floor and sky high ceiling. And there aren't a lot of quarterbacks out there that we can say that about. There's literally 3.
But Adam, I just won the Jalen Hurts doesn't have the highest floor argument, right? I just won that argument at least, right?
No, I said that Mahomes has the second highest floor.
Okay, yeah, right, but that's not like having a high floor and huge upside applies to all 3 of those guys.
It's true.
So, I actually think it's an easier case to make it for Allen to be QB1 because he was better than Mahomes in 2021. He was better than him in 2020 as well, but not on a per game basis. On a per game basis, Mahomes was 1 spot better. Allen had a better 2021 season, and Allen was better in 2022 before his elbow injury.
But that's like week 8, right?
Yeah, but I mean, it's such a stark.
Okay, I just want to say if we're going week 1 through 8, Lamar Jackson was averaging 26 fantasy points per game last year, so we should give him credit for that.
Well, that's not nearly as good as what Allen was averaging.
No, but we've been talking about Lamar Jackson hasn't been better than 25 fantasy points per game 3 years in a row.
But it was an injury. It wasn't just
yes, Mark Andrews got hurt week 9, right?
Sure, but yeah, but Lamar.
You know what would resolve all this, Adam?
What?
You had 6 months where there was no football, and we were doing 2.5 or 3 shows a week. And if you put together the giant book of Azer stats, then we would know who was actually better.
But listen, but still, he wasn't nearly as good as the other guys. No. Allen was still better than Mahomes before he hurt his elbow. He's going to run. He's been rushing for about 400 or so more yards than Mahomes, if not more than that. Usually rushes for about 4 more touchdowns than Mahomes. I actually think I think I'd probably take Mahomes first because he's Mahomes. But I actually. This is how I feel. In a 4-point per passing touchdown league, I'm definitely taking Allen. You guys already said you'd have Mahomes third. 6-point per passing touchdown league, I don't know. If I had 3 teams, I'd probably take 3 different quarterbacks. It's like it's 1A, 1A2, and 1A3, not even B and C. But I do think it's a pretty compelling case for Allen to be ahead of Mahomes because he really has been, over the last 3 years, he's just been better, right? I mean, if you look at points per game over the last 3 years, I'm assuming he's been better than Mahomes. Mahomes wasn't great.
I've got it. 29.1, 26.9, and 28.4. Okay, those were Allen's numbers. He was behind Mahomes by 0.3 in 2022, ahead of Mahomes by 2 points per game in 2021, and behind Mahomes by 0.7 of a point per game in 2020. So if he wasn't ahead of him, he was barely behind him.
He was ahead of him over the last 3 years. And then who else? I don't really think I can make an argument for Burrow as QB1.
I just looked it up in our Fantasy Football Today League. Over the last 3 years, Josh Allen, 29.23 fantasy points. Patrick Mahomes, 29.18. So 0.05 of a point difference between the two of them.
I bet if you remove the game that Mahomes left early with an injury.
Good. For sure. Yeah.
I think that was I think that was 2019. Sorry, I don't actually think that was before. All right. I don't know that I can make an argument for anyone else. Can you? Fields, Jackson? I don't think you can for Burrow, really. Just going to have to score a ton of touchdowns.
No.
Herbert, I don't think so.
No, I can't do it with a straight face for any of those guys.
Fields or Jackson?
No, not with a straight face. We could.
I mean, I could make the same case for Justin Fields that I made for Jalen Hurts last summer, that he could be the number 1 quarterback. It's not hard to make that case. It's just that it's really unlikely. I think the guy that we haven't talked about at all that's not in our top 5 that I also think you could make the case for is Tua.
No, I think you mean Trevor.
No, I mean, Tua plays 17 games with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle.
Sure.
I would expect him to be in the top 3 discussion for sure.
But they're not better than Ridley and Kirk.
Are you kidding?
Just yes, I'm kidding. I mean,
Okay.
sorry. To Lawrence, Dak.
But don't you?
No.
Dave.
Heath.
Would you agree that if they both stayed healthy, Tua is more likely to be a top 3 quarterback than Lawrence?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't think I agree with that.
Yep.
I know you don't.
Yeah. I mean, is everyone on the team healthy?
Just
I think
Tua
that's what
and
we're
Lawrence
going
is all
for.
the guarantee you get.
Right.
But is Tyreek more likely to get hurt than Calvin Ridley?
No, but Teron Armstead's more likely to get hurt than anyone. He's gotten hurt every single year of his career, and the numbers with and without Teron Armstead are startling.
What did he put up in that game against San Francisco?
It was awful in that game.
Was he? Yeah.
Yeah, but just the pressure.
There was that first touchdown that was like a lucky break for them. I remember that play.
I hope he was awful. And I said it with such conviction. The game.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
No.
Are you looking it up or me?
Seeing it here. Oh, 17.8 points per game. Yeah.
Okay.
Terrible.